everybody, Mike Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Hobby Supply. Today I'm going to do update 77, and once again I don't have a whole lot to show you, but I do have a lot of different things to show you. So with that in mind, you can either stay and watch it, or you can leave and say it's not all about trains. So let's get into this. Also, just a momentary update on the Mustang. I scratched the hood right here with a hood pin. I think you can still see it, but I did get some spray paint that matches. I may try sanding that a little bit and then putting some clear coat over it, but you can see, I think if I get in the light just right, you can see how the new clear goes on real well. I brushed the color on the scratches and it didn't work too well, but I could sand that off and do a little patch there and then clear over that. So I may try that. And then if I take you down here, and I know it won't mean anything to any of you guys, but the rocker, the top of the rocker panel right in here, the paint was just sun-baked right off of it. So I don't know if they had gotten this rocker panel off of a different car at some point, but you can see that I painted that and cleared that. It looks pretty good. I haven't taken a buffer to it yet, but it looks good enough for my taste. So just a couple of brief updates on the Mustang. Nothing else to show you there, so I'm going to head into the train room. Okay guys, I did start on the little building here, and what I did is I used some of the accent paint, the Tamiya accent paint, on it just to stabilize the wood, and that's where I left off. I do have the colors I need to paint it with, and then I'll start assembling it. It's not going to take very long. And as you can see, I have the body for my Bullet Mustang model that I'm going to paint here in the near future, so I am getting to that as well. And here's one of the reasons that I haven't been doing much outside the house here. I could be in the train room, but I just have been putting it off. But Robin and I have been spending a lot of time at this inside doing stuff as well. So this is another reason. Okay, there seems to be a lot of confusion about where this track is going to go. I've had guys say, oh, the track looks like it goes out in the garage. The track does not go out in the garage. The track goes from the inside into this little window, makes a little loop right here, and goes back to the layout. This was simply so people could see the train from the outside. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the inside of this yet, but that can be done at any particular time. So now let's take a look at what's going on inside. Okay, gang. As you can see, I have quite a mess on the floor here, and I have quite a bit of the beaded white styrofoam. And I'm going to tell you what I always have preached over the years. Don't use this stuff for scenery work. But what am I doing? I'm using it for scenery work. I'm breaking my own rules again. However, I'm not trying to cut it with a knife or scrape it with a scraper. I'm cutting it with, hold on, I got a bunch of junk here. My hot wire cutter. My Woodland Scenes hot wire cutter. So, I am going to show you something here real quick, and then I'll take you down and show you what I got going on down there. Okay, this is a Mercedes, a 1934, I believe, Mercedes 500. I've been working on this model kit for a couple of months, or maybe a little over a month, and I finally got her finished. And considering the level of difficulty that this kit was, I think she turned out pretty good. Hang on one second here. Oops, sorry about jerking you there. But hang on one second and we'll show you what it looks like inside of here. There's the engine compartment. I think it turned out pretty well. considering all the small parts and stuff there are. Anyway, this is an old, sorry about that. This is an old Johan kit, probably from the 60s, and I wanted to build it because I had built one years ago and it was a nice kit. And while this was difficult to build, it is a nice kit. Makes a nice model. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. That's one of the things I've been up to, and I'll show you a couple more things I am up to, and then I'll move you down here to the end. Okay, here we are down at the end. And I think I showed you last time that I extended this. It's not a big deal. Extended that over there, got the plug in. In fact, I got my hot wire tool plugged into the plug. Got that all done. Oh yeah, and I was going to show you one more thing before we get too carried away. I got this the other day. As you might expect, I'm a Bullet fan now. That's a 68 Bullet 1/43 scale, 68 Mustang. Okay, enough of that. Now we're going to move down here and actually get to the meat of this. I think you guys saw like this in and around the curve here and back up. But I decided to put in this turnout right here. So I put in some riser here with a little bit of foam underneath it to get it up to the right height. Got a piece of the beaded styrene that I put down here, hot glued in place for the building that's going to be there. And by the way, the building that will be there is going to be a fertilizer plant. It will give a place for the potash to go from up at the potash mine and the unobtainium. They process unobtainium and send it out of here to the government. So this will be where all my little hopper cars will go from the mine down here to the fertilizer plant. Once I got that in and I got to looking at the track, the loop of track that goes around here and through the window and back, I thought, man, that goes downhill an awful lot. I need to raise that up. So what I'm thinking about doing is putting all of this track down here up on this like 1/2 inch beaded foam, and I'll cut pieces out and I'll glue them down to that, and then I'll just make a transition. You can see how the track's up off the roadbed here. I'll figure out how to transition that, but I just don't want it to go downhill so much because I may want to detach from some cars and I don't want them all rolling away, and I don't want to have to make something to hold them there like I did on the other side of the layout. So I'm going to raise that up and try and level it up some, and I hope I didn't make you dizzy there. Also, I have enough of this flat foam, this white beaded foam, which I despise using, but with the foam cutter it's not so bad, because it's just going to hold up the plaster cloth. But what I'm going to do, or what I've decided to do, is I'm going to put a switch right here facing that way, and I'm going to put a little siding off right here that goes back and tie in dead ends at the fascia there for the other part of the layout. And I don't know what kind of building will go there, but it's just going to give us another place to drop off a few cars. I know I wasn't going to get carried away and do all this stuff over here, but the more I goof with it, the more I'm thinking of all this opportunity I have now without encroaching on what I have for the models here. So we're going to do that, and I'm waiting for some city backdrops to get here because I'm going to put some city backdrop around this thing. I'm not exactly sure whose and what all will be there, but it is going to be some city backdrop. I want this to be not urban, not total urban, but at least city related. So I don't know what's going to go on the backdrop exactly there, but that's what will be there. And I don't want to get too carried away with too much of the foam and stuff here until I get some of that backdrop up there. You can see by the height of the foam versus the height of the base of the backdrop here that the base of the backdrop will actually be almost ground zero here. So if I'm safe at putting backdrop on at the level of the base of the backdrop. So let me show you one other thing before I get out of here today. Okay, here's another thing that I'm waiting to do, and that is I am going to, because that is such an inaccessible place back there, and honestly, this kind of goes like this. I'm having a hard time getting it in the picture. But anyway, it kind of goes like this. This is kind of how it sits. And the window would be over where the curve is, obviously. But what I'm going to do, because it's going to be inaccessible back there, is all this track will be soldered together. With the exception of the turnouts, of course. But these pieces of individual track are going to be soldered, just so I don't have to get back there and do anything with it after the fact. I'm not advocating soldering all of your unitrack all of the time, but if it's somewhere you don't want to have to get to in the future, it may be, for some people, a good idea. Don't go around saying Pfeiffer said to solder all your Kato unitrack, I'll be angry. But I do think it's a good idea where you can't reach. And just to reiterate, since some of you are new, ooh, what a junk hole this place is. Anyway, all this track on this upper level, on the two upper levels here, was all soldered before all the scenery was done. And that is because I don't want to have to lean over all the detailed work down here to get to any of that if I had any problems once the layout was built. So I don't, like I say, I don't advocate soldering all your Kato unitrack. I do not think it's absolutely necessary if you have a layout where you can reach it. We have had 1,000 feet of unitrack working at our train club, which I am going to tomorrow, by the way, is run day. But we've had it out there for about 8 years, and we have only had 2 joints on 1,000 feet of track that we had to go back and solder together simply to get feed through them. And that was really only because of mishandling by the guys when the track was put together. Snapping it together, unsnapping it, snap, unsnap, snap, bending it the wrong way, and that kind of stuff. They were urged to put new joiners on, and as far as I know, most of the time we did that, but obviously we missed a few. So, anyway, to get back to the crux, I don't recommend soldering all of your unitrack, but it is a good idea if it's someplace where you don't want to have to get to later. And that is why I did it. So don't take that as gospel. Okay, nothing else new. The only thing I will tell you, and I don't have it yet, but okay, some of you may or may not know, or you may have some, or you may not have some ordered, but Trainworks is coming out with some new tank trucks, and they will be out shortly. In fact, ours have been delivered to us to be distributed probably by next week. But anyway, in that, however long ago, a year ago, whenever it was announced, I ordered a Texaco semi. So it won't be too long before I have a full-size semi and trailer out here in Texaco. One of the things that I've been threatening to do too is make this tank larger. I don't like this really small size of that the silver tank there. I wish I had the other half of it, because there's another half of it that goes on the down, and as well as the ladder. I'm going to look for one of those and see if I can put a bigger tank there, and then I have some Texaco decals that will go on that tank. That's another thing I've had in my craw here lately. So that being said, I would have to say that that's probably the end of the video unless I think of something else, and you know how I am about that. And since I'm out here in the train room, and you guys probably don't care one way or the other, but I did load up my Navajo cars. I don't have the other 6 yet, and Robin's going to check on what happened to them. I have the other, I think it was set 1 I'm missing to make 18 cars. But anyway, I have already had these out at the club, and I have already run these on the layout, and they run extremely well. But I'm going to take them back out there because one of the guys that's in the club, his wife is Navajo, and he wants to see them running. So I'm going to take them out there, and I've got to figure out what else I want to put in this box to take out there. But that's no big deal, but I guess that's about all I have for today. Okay, everybody. I hope you enjoyed video 77, and although it wasn't all about trains, I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you approve of what's going on down here. And as usual, thanks for watching.